What's up, guys? It's Ashley, the Mountaintops, back again. We are in July. Happy 4th, by the way, especially to you, my co-host, Jeremy. How are you tonight, my man?
I stand here not missing any toes or any fingers after fireworks, so all is well. How about you?
No JPP problems, I guess.
I wasn't going to say it.
That's good. No, I knew where you were going, right?
Yeah.
It was a good weekend, celebrating USA, and then USA lets us down. So there you go. Last night. So is what it is. It's not a soccer nation. It's a football nation. That's what we're here to talk about. So today we are going to talk about the mock starter draft that we started last week. So if you didn't listen to it, I suggest you listen to that first before you tune into this one. But this is part 2. We are starting at round 9. This is a 12-team, 20-round Superflex tight end premium, 10 starters, quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, to tight end, 2 flex, and the Superflex as well. We're going to quickly go through the first 8 picks of each team. But if you want to hear it broken down a little bit more, like I said, you might want to stop and listen to the first one from last week. We're going to do that first, and then what they actually need to fill a starting roster, which most people actually did a pretty good job of figuring that out. We have one computer that was pretty hilarious, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But other than that, we're going to get started with that. There's no news this week. It was like NFL didn't exist, I guess. I don't know. Well, at least fantasy football NFL news didn't exist. So pretty excited about that we can jump right in. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start out with Jeremy. You're going to talk about a couple guys here, a couple teams here first.
Yeah, let's start with the first two. Let's start with the first 2 teams that had the selections in our draft. Team 1 started with Bijan Robinson, followed by George Pickens, Nico Collins, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Dalton Kincaid, Baker Mayfield, and closed out the 8th round with Wan'Dale Robinson. So good mixture. We focused on some wide receivers there, good mixture, and got a little bit of every position taken care of. Team 2 started off with Jamar Chase at pick 1-2, followed by Caleb Williams, James Cook, Trevion Henderson, Luther Burden, Jadarian Price, DJ Moore, and then closed out the 8th round with another quarterback of Jordan Love. So in looking at this, Team 1, we are kind of in agreement that a super flex position and a flex position are kind of in need for Team 1. Again, a decent start for the first 8 positions here. And then for Team 2, Team 2 seems to be lacking a little bit of a tight end. So that would be something that they want to start off with. What do you see, Matt?
Yeah, no, looks like anytime you don't have 2 quarterbacks, I think you're missing a super flex. So Team 1 only has 1 quarterback, so I feel like they're missing a super flex there. And then, Team 2, Eccles, he's missing a tight end in the flex position. So, and that's common, the flex being missed, because it's a lot. We have 2 of them, and that's the last ones to usually go. So, for Jim. For Jim, our Team 3, he has Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, Colston Loveland, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Waddle, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff, and Alec Pierce. So he is missing a super flex, as you heard, just 1 quarterback there. He will fix that quickly. And a flex as well. I was Team 4. I have Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, not missing a super flex. That is for sure. Drake London, Devonta Smith, Kyle Pitts, Travis E., Casey Concepcion, and Jonah Coleman. So 2 rookies to end the first half of our show there. I'm missing 2 flexes, which is the way I try to make this happen. Get the 2 premium positions and then just load up on wide receiver and running back. So that kind of worked out there. Go ahead, man. What are your thoughts?
No, so far out the gate, I mean, obviously we've only talked about 4 teams, but you are the front runner in regards to quarterback strength. And you seem to focus on that and going out of the gate. That's something we touched base on the last pod, and it hasn't failed you here. You, just like team one, have a nice mixture of a little bit of everything. Every position's been taken care of with at least a decent starter. So I like what you got developing there.
And I have to be honest with you, this is not a normal way that I like to draft my my super flex league. I like to let the quarterbacks go because they're usually much higher. However, things change whenever no one was taking quarterbacks in the super flex draft, so I ended up switching my strategy.
No, it makes 10 cents, and what like I say, it's worked out for you. Every position is addressed, and every position is addressed with somebody of a starting position. So I think you're off to a good start here.
Appreciate that, sir.
Yeah, somebody else who's also done is Team Five, he did a good mixture here of different top tier positions. They started off again Team Five, so pick 1-5 with Puka Nakua, followed by Jeremiah Love, Jonathan Taylor, Roma Dunze. Picked up his first quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, followed by his first tight end, Sam Laporta. And then he closed out with two rookie wide receivers, Malachi Lemon and Denzel Boston. Looking at this again, same situation, Superflex. They had one quarterback. I didn't really necessarily articulate that ever, but the way that you've worded that, I like the way you've worded that in regards to the quarterbacks. If you don't have two by, say, the midpoint of the draft, then you're seriously missing out on the super flex aspect of it, because I think if the quarterbacks, they are deep, but there are only a few that are worthy of elite type play week in and week out. And you to touch base again on your team, you have two of them. But to pick up Trevor Lawrence here, so it's the quarterback of need, only carrying Trevor Lawrence at this moment. That's something that's addressed very soon. And in this draft here upcoming, Team 6 is our first computer team, and this one, let's see if you notice some. Let's see if you notice if a position is missing. We started off with JSN, followed by Trey McBride, Pet McMillan, Cornell Tate, Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams, RJ Harvey, and Michael Wilson out of Arizona. So out of this group here, it's quite obvious that they have done very well at picking up some youthful positions, especially a wide receiver. They got arguably tight end 1, if not tight end 2 overall, and Trey McBride behind Brock Bowers. But they are missing a quarterback. And now again, remind you, this is a computer-driven draft team here, but they are missing a quarterback completely. So they are already out of the gate, significantly behind on quarterback depth, and we'll see how that develops and plays out as we go.
Yeah, and I think the funniest part about this is that if they had one quarterback, this would probably be my favorite team. Looking at who they ended up getting, but I don't know who they would end up having to lose. Probably the Bucky Irving area, like Bucky or Kyron or RG Harvey in that round, if they were able to pick a quarterback up instead. I think this was one of the better teams, to be honest, with JSM, McBride, McMillan, and Tate at the first 4. Young and definitely very good. So it's super flex, and you can't have no quarterbacks, or you can't have only one quarterback in super flex. So got to have at least one, and they don't have any right now. So moving on, we have Badger with a quarterback in the first round, Drake May, Justin Jefferson, Emeka Egbuka, Chase Brown, Harold Fannin, Bo Nix, Cam Scattaboo, and then his last pick in the 8th round, Kenyon Sadiq. So 2 tight ends and 2 young tight ends in a tight end premium league. That's an interesting strategy I like. Now, he is looking for a wide receiver, which he'll fix very quickly here, and also a flex position. So could be 2 wide receivers coming. We don't know. We'll see. So next we have Kong. He took my strategy, Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson in his first 2 picks, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, T. Higgins, Javonte Williams, Derrick Henry, Brenton Strange. So he took care of his everything really he needed, and now he gets to play around with his 2 flexes, which again, he took the exact same strategy as me. It seems like whatever he did, I did. Whatever I did, he did. So it was pretty funny there. But 2 good teams, I think, that were built in these 2 here.
Yeah, this is in the meat and potatoes of the snake draft here. This is smack dab in, I guess you could call it the middle, but nevertheless, they both started off with quarterback and wide receiver grabs, and they definitely knew who they were grabbing. I mean, both teams have some significant depth. We touched base on Badgers, at least you did touch base on Badgers team last week's pod. Having one of the better starts, and I agree, having a double tight end and two tight ends who either A, are pass catching, or B, will predominantly be pass catching tight ends in their upcoming offenses. We can wrap down now to team 9 with, in my opinion, GOAT quarterback Joseph Lee Burrow, followed by CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Warren, so the tight ends addressed there at pick 3-9, followed by Quinshon Judkins, Dak Prescott, Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, and round 8 was picked up by Chuba Hubbard. So this is a decent one here for Team Odd. He needs to pick up a wide receiver, is what we're looking at here. He has CeeDee Lamb. We grabbed him early. He didn't focus onto the wide receiver position until round 7, where he picked up Christian Watson. Now, Christian Watson is favored to be the wide receiver 1 in that Green Bay offense, but he's not solidified to be the wide receiver 1 in that Green Bay offense. That Green Bay offense is definitely a pool of very talented pass catchers, and we're still waiting to find out who exactly is wide receiver 1 on that team. It could be the tight end. Who knows? Team 10 was yours truly, and I started with the first tight end off the board with Brock Bowers. Again, in my opinion, it's a little bit closer of a coin flip between Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. The only thing that gives Brock Bowers a little bit of an advantage, in my opinion, is the amount of volume that he's obtaining. He is wide receiver 1 on that team, where Trey McBride is definitely going to have some threats from Michael Wilson and Mark Harrison if he decides to show up. But I went with Brock Bowers on pick 1. Omarion Hampton is my RB1 at pick 2, round 2. And then I went with back-to-back quarterbacks with Jackson Dart and Mendoza, followed by Brian Thomas, Zay Flowers, pick 7 with Bashal Tootin, and pick 8, my boy, David Montgomery. To remind you, just again, to remind the listeners, I focused on not a win now team, but a win later team. I focused on a lot more youth and a lot more building pieces to kind of focus on a team that is going to be successful in about 2 to 3 years rather than being successful right out the gate.
Yeah, I think I've said this before. For your team, at least, I love the fact that you knew what you wanted to do and you did it. Not one of these players have played 3 years, I don't think, in the league until we get to the round 8. And David Montgomery, you do need some kind of help now to be able to succeed a little bit in the future as well. And I think the other oldest or most veteran player, I guess, is Zay Flowers, who might be in the league 4 years, but he's still young. I think he came out early, so not too worried about that at all. You definitely are building. If you are building for the future or a productive struggle, this is how you do it. It's like a blueprint for how you do it, to be honest with you. So I love that. And out of 1 is a definite win now team. So it's cool that there's a contrast there. I mean, with Burrow and Prescott as your quarterbacks, you have a few years left, but not a whole lot. CeeDee Lamb getting into the end of his prime years here. Tyler Warren and Quinshon Judkins kind of off of that beaten path that I was talking about there. They're younger. Josh Jacobs, who knows what's going to happen. This might be the last year you get him. But in the 6th round, I'm okay taking him there. So I like both teams. Then we get to the computer pick that we're hoping there's going to be wide receiver available for this team at some point. So we got Malik Neighbors in the 1st round, then Ashton Genty, Ladd McConkey, Breece Hall, Patrick Mahomes, Ray Rice, long gone. Wow. Long time ago. Sorry about that.
That throwback hit me like a haymaker.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is kind of like him. Jordan Tyson and Oronde Gadsden. So what this second computer is looking for is a super flex and a flex. Kind of like a lot of other teams, it seems like, focusing on one quarterback. And the one quarterback might be the best in the game, in Mahomes, but you do need 2 in a super flex, in my opinion, unless your team is that good. Then we have bringing up the rear here, wifey Knickers, Jalen Hurts in the first round. Amon-Ra St. Brown on the turn there, and then CMC, Christian McCaffrey, and Tucker Kraft, Marvin Harrison Jr., Brock Purdy, Swift, and Jordan Addison to round up the 8th pick there. She needs the same thing as me and Kong, 2 flex. So she was able to really diversify her team, and she's going to take care of that pretty quickly with some good players. To be honest with you, I like her. I said this last week. It's not because of the bias of her being my wife. I liked her team one of the best, especially to start, and definitely a win now team with the players you have, and you're just hoping Harrison shows up how we thought he would at the number 4 overall pick in the actual NFL draft. But if he shows up, this team looks very, very good. So, anything you wanted to say before we start up on round 9?
Full agreement on Team Knickers. The misses, I think, again, she's definitely on the focus of the pedal to the metal and the win now, and should be successful.
Absolutely. So we're going to start here with the 9th round. Finally, DK Metcalf gets taken off the board at 9-1. Ramondre Stevenson at 9-2. Matt Stafford at 9-3. So Jimmy gets his second quarterback, like we were talking about. Then I take my second tight end because George Kittle in the 9th round is just okay to do. I was looking at a bunch of different players, and I see Kittle, and he's just staring me in the face in the 9th round, and I cannot not take him at this point, especially when I hear he may start the season this year. And he's only 33, so if he plays as long as Kelsey, I still got at least 4 more years with him. So he'll be 33 when he starts the season. So
correct, yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, and then we had Sam Darnold taken, Cal Monongai. Honey Badger takes Terry McLaurin. Kong gets Corum. Out of 1 takes Jaden Higgins from Houston. And then you are up, sir.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So then that put me back into the thing. And I had Zach Charbonnet still sitting there. Now, everyone has, and rightfully so, Charbonnet has a significant injury that he's coming back from. He did tumble, if you will, in this draft to round 9, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to grab him. Again, a team that's not necessarily trying to win now. I'm willing to be patient. In a worst-case scenario, I'm willing to be patient with Charbonnet and utilize him toward the end of the year, if not keep him for a piece into the following year. Or if he comes in the gate a little early and successful, and something like I can potentially flip and maybe give it to somebody once he has a clean bill of health. That could go on that one. So I went with Zach Charbonnet on pick 9.
Charbonnet would have been my pick instead of Coleman if I didn't need a guy I thought was going to play right away.
And that's fair, and that's exactly why Charbonnet fell to me. And I think he would have fallen a little bit further if somebody would have let him. But again, I understand the talent that's there, but I understand that there is going to be a waiting game. And again, with building the team that I had exactly the way, with me building the team that I had designed to build it as, I'm willing to be patient on Charbonnet. Let's see you come back healthy and strong in week 6. It wouldn't matter to me. Finishing out round 9, pick 11 is Devontae Adams. And then team 12 finishes up round 9 with her second tight end and Jake Ferguson out of Dallas. Again, we're doing a snake draft, so this is going to come back. We're going to swing back around here. And Knickers, team 10, takes Mike Evans. 10.2 pick is Parker Washington out of Jacksonville. And this led right back to me, and one of the best available tight end was also the one tight end that I was seeking at this time was Isaiah Likely. Our listeners know that I am a huge advocate for Isaiah Likely this year. I think he is one of the better pass catching tight ends. He just hasn't had the opportunity to flaunt his abilities behind Mark Andrews and a very run heavy offense and Baltimore Ravens. He was plucked from Harbaugh. He was brought over there. He was drafted by Harbaugh. He is now plucked from Harbaugh from the Ravens. He was brought over to the Giants. Jackson Dart, we all know, has made tight ends Theo Johnson and Bellinger relevant. These tight ends were not relevant 2 seasons ago, but he made them relevant because Jackson Dart loves his tight ends. We're going to have a tight end that actually is going to be basically a slot wide receiver being available for Jackson Dart at all times. And I think that this is going to be a combination that is going to be an exceptional combination to help feed some families. So I went with the Isaiah Likely stack with Jackson Dart as my quarterback. So I went with my stack approach, but also in a tight end premium league focused on my tight end stacks. So I had Jackson Dart as my quarterback with Isaiah Likely at my tight end, and then Mendoza as my quarterback with Brock Bowers as my tight end. So I'm hoping that the stacks, no youthful, will be successful for me in the next upcoming years. Right behind me, pick 4 in round 10 is Omar Cooper Jr. out of the Jets, one of the rookie wide receivers. Pick 10-5, Rashad White. Travis Hunter, 10-6. CJ Stroud, 10-7. Jalen Warren at 10-8. And it gets back to you at pick 9, Mr. Meckie.
Yeah, and I took a guy who we talked about last year as someone I don't like. However, Trevor Lawrence likes him, so now I do too. 10-9, Jacoby Myers. When he got traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars, my entire thought process on him changed because he became the focal point for Trevor Lawrence. It just was. Even with Hunter and BTJ both there, as well as Parker Washington, but it was still Jacoby Myers' show. So I was ecstatic to get him in the 10th round as well. And these were some other guys who were in that conversation for me personally. Next up was Ricky Pearsall at 10-10, Michael Pittman at 10-11, and Rico Dowdle, back-to-back Steelers, rounding out the 10th round for Fish. He started back up with J.K. Dobbins in the 11th round. A.J. Barner was next at 11-2, Tyler Algier, 11-3, and then I took probably our biggest difference in opinion between me and you, maybe in this entire draft, in Jonathan Brooks. So I've been consistently saying on this pod that unfortunately he has been injured, but if he was healthy going into the draft, he would have been a first-round running back pick. And I truly believe that. He was a second-round pick and he was hurt. And I just think he has a second or the next gear, and we kind of know what Chuba is. So I believe he'll be taking over the reins. Not right away, because he does have to come back from 2 injuries and only playing 9 snaps or 3 plays or however you want to say it. But I believe that at the 11th round, he could be a steal of the draft. Next up, we have QJ, Quentin Johnston, at pick 11-5, Matthew Golden, 11-6, Willie Marks, 11-7, Jaden Reed, 11-8. Surprised that Golden went before Reed. It might be an age thing there. Also a computer thing there.
Yeah.
And then Xavier Worthy at 11-9, which feeds into you taking a wide receiver as well.
Yeah, and Cokeheads Unite. I am going to stand by my word. I had an opportunity to draft Coker out of Carolina, and I did exactly that. He just signed a 3-year extension. I understand he won't be wide receiver 1 behind McMillan ever, which makes sense. There is a skill set there that is unmatched. However, there is a wide receiver 2 spot in Carolina that is wide open for the taking, and I believe Coker grasps it with his bare hands very early on in the season. So I'm taking Coker here, again with my youthful movement, taking Coker at pick 11-10. Behind me at 11-11 is Eli Stowers, out in Philadelphia. And then closing out the 11th round is Cortland Sutton. Double wide receiver taken, because then the 12th round starts with another wide receiver again, and Romeo Dobbs out of New England. Keep in mind, he did go to New England during the offseason. Pick 12-2 is Kenneth Gainwell. and it went right back to me at pick 12-3. Again, this is a situation where I had what I refer to as a patience pick, where I had a player fall to me due to injury and uncertainty, and I am willing to be patient with that development of said player due to my lack of desire to win immediately out of the gate. I drafted Chris Bell, the wide receiver drafted by the Miami Dolphins. He is, in my opinion, one of the more priority dynasty stash candidates. He is a great skill set, but he's coming in from his torn ACL, suffered late November. So yeah, he might not even play this year, depending on how Miami's season looks and develops and how it goes out. But Chris Bell, I'm going to be patient on. He can even be a taxi stash for me, and he's out of the way. But potential future wide receiver one in Miami, I am able to grab at the 12th round due to injury.
Yeah, and if he was available when I got the pick, that was my pick. When you took him, I was like, "Oh man!" So I get it. I was 100% with you on that one.
Well, I appreciate the support there. Yeah, I think he's going to be a decent. I think he's a decent skill set. I think he's a great landing spot. Everyone just kind of has to be patient with him, and let's see what the other draftees can pick up behind him from Kevin Coleman and Caleb Douglas. So we'll see exactly what happens. After me, Chris Bell. After my Bell pick was Bill Corey Crossing Merritt at 12-4. 12-5 was Josh Downs. 12-6 Chris Godwin. 12-7 Jeremy Bernard. 12-8 Juwan Johnson, tight end, New Orleans. And it feeds right back into you where you grab your fifth wide receiver.
Yeah, and I've been talking about this guy in the offseason as well. Hopefully the Tennessee volunteer curse, it feels like, for wide receivers does not continue. Chris Brazzell out of Tennessee. I know you took Coker. You think he's going to be the number 2. I think he's going to be the slot, and these two are going to kind of split. And Brazzell will be the other outside guy with Tet McMillan. So I'm pretty excited for that. I think this is the year that we kind of see if Bryce Young has it or not. And with this young core of talent around him, if he can't succeed now, well, then in 27 they get a good quarterback as well in that crop, more than likely. And then Brazzell, Coker, and Tet all have someone that can throw the ball, which is kind of what we're looking for at that point. Moving on, we have Mark Andrews at 12-10, Rashid Shaheed at 12-11, and Tyler Shuck rounding out the 12th round. Travis Kelce on the turn starts out in the 13th round. Cam Ward, 13-2. Dallas Goedert, 13-3. So you see some older tight ends going here. And then I came right back with another young gun in Elijah Surratt. Going into the draft, or before I really started focusing on everything and hearing other people's thoughts, I thought Surratt, who is nicknamed Waffle House because he's always open, I believe, it was going to be a first-round pick in most dynasty drafts. So the fact that he fell so far, the fact that the Baltimore Ravens got him as their second wide receiver, I think this is going to be a fact of like the Tucker Kraft situation where he was the second tight end taken, but Surratt ended up being the number 1 on the team. So I was pretty happy about getting Surratt there. So
it's a great grab by you. I like him a lot, and from what I'm seeing, he's not getting a lot of attention because he is someone who tends to be following, at least in regards to ADP standards, from the few rookie drafts that I was able to have seen. So it was a great get by you. He's at Indiana. He played really well with Mendoza. So let's see what he can do at a pro level.
Yeah, and at this point, you have your starters, and you kind of are looking for that upside. Like Brazzell could be a stud. Surratt could be that guy because he was always open for Indiana. It seemed like. So that's the kind of things that I'm looking for at this point. Is okay, if everyone's gonna go one way and go for the value, who could pop and come out of nowhere? And that's what I'm looking for at this point. And with that, Taco Grande, my buddy Javier takes Emmett Johnson, another rookie. Then Mason Taylor at 13-6 for the computer. Tony Pollard for Badger at 13-7. D Jones, Daniel Jones, 13-8. Kyler Murray at 13-9. And then you are up, and all the talk that we've had, I'm sure, had nothing to do with this pick.
No, pick 13-10. I went with Nicholas Singleton out of Penn State. Rookie sleeper, and in my opinion, I don't think he's getting enough love. I don't think he got drafted into the best position for him to show his skill set right out of the gate. I do believe Pollard and I do think Pollard and Tajay Spears have enough of a chokehold in regards to the volume, but I do think Singleton does well with what opportunities that he is given. And I think we see a little bit more of him as the year goes. But again, playing the patience game, willing to be patient here. I see an opportunity for him to develop into a future running back one on that team, with both Spears having injury concerns and Pollard having age concerns. I can see Singleton being a little bit more being patient, and Singleton carry a little bit more load.
Also, going into next year, they are both free agents, Pollard and Spears. So Nick Singleton may have just fallen into a starting job next year, depending on what Tennessee wants to do, depending on how he looks in practice. And I never thought I'd say this, but hopefully he's one guy who looks at practice super serious, because he is going to be the number 3 this year, more than likely, until Tajay gets hurt. And you're probably not going to see too much of him this year. But if he performs like we both believe he will in practice, and when he gets an opportunity, he could be the starter next year.
Full agreement. It's a great call out by the contracts. That was one thing I did not know. So that gives me a little bit more of an insight and a little bit more of a push to give Singleton an opportunity here to be drafted by myself. Pick 13-11 is Trey Benson out of Arizona. And then to close out the 13th round is Old Man Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers, being drafted at the age of 42. Still has one more year in him, he says. He's going to be your Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback here for the pending upcoming season. So we're going to see exactly what's going to happen. 14th round starts with Tyrone Tracy, the running back out of New York Giants. The 1B to Cam Scatterbo. I don't necessarily feel that Cam Scatterbo is going to be given the amount of volume that he had right out of the gates. So Tyrone Tracy's a decent pickup here in round 14. 14-2 with Michael Penix, quarterback, the second quarterback drafted by the computer team. And then this led into me with Zachariah Branch. Now, this is another rookie pick that I had from this previous class. I wanted to grab Tyrone Tracy here, actually, in my own honesty, because I do think that he's going to have a decent beginning of the year, and somebody who I could see myself flipping on this situation. But Zachariah Branch, from what I'm reading, is getting a lot of hype out of camp. He's getting a lot of love from Tua. And in my opinion, I think Tua has the slight edge in the starting position for the quarterbacks for the Atlanta Falcons. So we'll see. But he's comparing Zachariah Branch to a young Jalen Waddle. So that if Tua is going to have a type of relationship passing the ball to Zachariah Branch as he had with Jalen Waddle, I want to try to get as many shares of that as I can out of the gate. And again, pick 14. Around 14, it's worth the opportunity and the patience.
Yeah, and he does something a lot different than Drake London or Kyle Pitts, for that matter, which is really nice. He's really good after the catch, little smaller guy from what I understand as well. So I think he's going to fit in pretty well with that team.
I do too. I really do too. I think he's a piece that they have been missing. And again, if you have praise from your quarterback, at least the quarterback you're obtaining reps from is comparing you to one of his favorite targets in the past. It's a good comparison to have. Following up in round 14 is 14-4, Jalen Naylor of the Las Vegas Raiders. 14-5 is Antonio Williams, the rookie wide receiver drafted out for the Washington Commanders. 14-6 is TJ Hawkinson. 14-7, Jordan Mason, back-to-back Vikings. 14-8, Bryce Young for his third quarterback drafted in this class. And it goes up to you for 14-9.
Yeah, 14-9. Braylon Allen sitting there. Brees Hall has been injured in the past, could be injured again. If he's not injured, this pick means absolutely nothing. But because I think Brees Hall is going to be a workhorse back. But if he does go down, Allen's going to be the main guy. Yeah, he might take a little bit of time, especially in passing down situations to Isaiah Davis. But Braylon Allen's going to be the focal point if something were to happen to Brees Hall. And in my mind, if something happens to Brees Hall, I can trade him and get something back when he has a big game and get something back because he is one of the best handcuffs to have, in my opinion.
Fully agree. I fully agree. Brees Hall does have the injury concerns, and the contract extension does not alleviate that for me. I believe that every team has a 1B of some sorts, and that is Braylon Allen and the Jets. And it would be a good. I agree. He's definitely one of the top handcuffs to have because they utilize multiple running backs in a sense. They like to utilize the multiple running backs. And again, Brees Hall is not necessarily the healthiest track record. No pun intended.
No, it's true. Absolutely. And then we got Shakir from Buffalo, Hunter Henry, the never die tight end from New England, Jawan Jennings, the third wide receiver in Minnesota, rounds out the 14th round. 15th round starts with the old running back in Minnesota. So he goes Minnesota, Minnesota, back to back there. Then a guy who is still a San Francisco 49er, but is he a San Francisco 49er? In Brandon Ayuk, who we've talked about a bit on this show. The Jalen McMillan, 15-3 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Jimmy's team. And then comes back to me, and I take a guy I've taken in a lot of rookie drafts, a lot of starter drafts. I love his potential in Trey Harris. If QJ has the same kind of year he had last year, this might not matter, but they do need two players to play the outside as wide receiver. Ladd McConkey's a great interior presence there with Oronde Gasson. So I think you're going to see a lot of Trey Harris this year, and I'm excited to see it. So I took him at the 15th round, 15-4. Moving on, we have Malachi Fields, the rookie wide receiver for the Giants. Ty Simpson, going to sit behind who you may say is the GOAT, Matthew Stafford. You're running your MVP currently. Then we got DK from Tennessee at 15-7. Mike Washington Jr., the absolute combine stud, as a handcuff at 15-8 for the Raiders. And 15-9 is Malik Willis for the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, Malik Willis, we'll see exactly what kind of year he has. One of the more polarizing quarterbacks, man. Like his floor and ceiling is probably one of the more widest ranges that I can recall, because it could be an absolute JJ McCarthy type game here, type show, or I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but I mean he can come out and throw the ball like he was doing a little bit for the Green Bay Packers. Man, look out, see what he can do here. But we'll see.
So before you move on, Out of One now has four quarterbacks, two solid starters, and two guys who are getting a second chance with a different team, who he could end up trading one of those two if they are both successful to get even more picks in the future or to go for it this year. This is a brilliant build, by the way. Just wanted to say that.
No, full agreement, because he's doing exactly the opposite of what I've done here. Because so far, if you haven't noticed, I haven't yet to take another quarterback. I have Jackson Dart and Mendoza, and Fernando might not even start the season. So I mean, I'm in a little bit of a predicament here with the quarterback, and so he could be somebody that I start sniffing or pursuing for one of these rental type quarterbacks. And he's already has clientele built up here, looking at the way that this draft is developing. So props to him, full agreement. This fell to me now at pick 15-10 to be exact. I went with Isaac Tesla. I think he's technically on the stat sheet, he's going to be wide receiver 3 now in Detroit. But I think he is a little bit more than that, in my opinion. I think he is an absolute resident freak. most of his production last year, including what, 5 touchdowns, I believe it was. All of them were red zone targets and red zone situations. So I went with Tesla here, wide receiver 3, and I don't want to say the writing's on the wall, but there is rumor has it that Jomo's not going to have any type of extension post his 5th year. So there's going to be a wide receiver 2 position that's potentially open. So again, patience game. Willing to wait it out. Let's see what Tesla can do here with a little bit more opportunity than he had last year.
Yeah, and if you end up getting Tesla as the number 2 in Detroit in the 15th round, it's an absolute steal.
Yeah, full agreement. And Detroit has a lot of mouths to feed with Laporta and St. Brown and Jamo and Gibbs, and the list can go on and on. Tesla's just a part of that, and he deserves just as much love. So see what he can do with a little bit more opportunity. Behind me, at pick 15-11 is Tajay Spears out of Tennessee. And then 15-12 to close out our 15th round is Dalton Schultz, tight end out of Houston. 16th round started immediately back up with Caleb Johnson, running back out of the Pittsburgh Steelers out of Iowa. We'll see if he can get himself a little bit more playing time this year. At 16-2, we have Dylan Sampson out of Cleveland. And back to me for 16-3, I went with Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell, I think, is going to be one of the more underrated players here this upcoming year. The hype is starting to build around him in regards to what he can do with the Mike McDaniels offense, and I am buying the dip. He's somebody you can get very late in drafts, especially in redraft situations. You see somebody you can get very late because Marion Hampton is this overshadowing monster of it. But guess who has Marion Hampton? Myself. I drafted him in the 2nd round. So I was in a situation here where I was able to hurry up and grab the handcuff, and a handcuff who I feel could be very lucrative in not only a trade front, but one that I could see myself playing both Mitchell and Hampton on the same week, being the way the play styles are going to be utilized in the upcoming season. So I went with Keaton Mitchell. Behind me at pick 16-4, it was Tyreek Hill. 16-5 is a rookie drafted out of San Francisco, Dijon Stribling. 16-6, Carson Beck, Tank Bigsby, Debo Samuel at 6'8", and it feeds right into our fearless leader, Mickey, at 16-9.
So this is the 3rd time that I was planning on taking a quarterback, and it did not happen. And Carson Beck was that guy. So ended up going with the guy who I've talked too much about on this pod for how little he did last year, LK Maynor, who I've been on record saying is going to be the number 2 wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. And when that doesn't happen, because for whatever reason, probably a Wan'Dale Robinson problem, Jeremy can call me out on it. But I love LK Maynor. I think he's better than what he showed last year. And if given the opportunity, I think he becomes the number 2, like I said before. Moving on, we have the number 2 running back from Detroit, Isaiah Pacheco. Then we have Mr. Pitt himself, James Conner, the running back who's still in Arizona. We'll see what happens before the season starts, but he's in Arizona right now. Pat Freiermuth rounds out the 16th round, tight end out of Pittsburgh. And then we have Troy Franklin, wide receiver for Denver. Chris Rodriguez at 17-2. Kamani Vidal, 17-3. And I'm back up with 17-4. And I go back to the well of rookies. Ted Hurst, my 4th rookie wide receiver, I think, this year.
Yes.
In this draft.
Yep.
So I'm building a fortress of wide receivers who I think have potential to maybe not produce right away in their rookie year, but kind of show up and show out by the end of the year. And I've heard a lot of good things about Ted Hurst, so much so that he's one of the reasons that I don't have Igbuka as high as a lot of other people do. So with him being here in the 17th round, I couldn't wait to snatch him up.
No, he profiles as true X wide receiver, so I think he's going to be a great long-term replacement for the departed Mike Evans. I do think that he has a legitimate threat to stealing some significant volume from Ibuka, from Bucky Irving, from you name it. I know Jalen McMillan's a big hot name that they're trying to get back into the wheelhouse here. So yeah, Turtles is a great pickup by you. And I understand you do have a lot of young wide receivers here, but this is the wide receiver. This is the class of wide receivers if you want to build your wide receiving core around. You have yourself decent ones in the middle. The draft classes here. You're like your Brazzles and like now with Hurst. I think you're doing very well.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it wasn't like the class with Neighbors and BTJ and
Correct.
McConkey, the top names, right? But it was so deep for wide receiver, and
Yes.
some of them fell in the right spot, some of them didn't. We'll see what happens. That's why you do 20 rounds of this and take a bunch of players that you're gonna hope work. Because if all these players work, you trade them. But if only some of them work, you still have a really good team. That's kind of where I come from there. So moving on, we have Javier taking Alvin Kamara at 17.5, Terrence Ferguson 17.6, tight end for the Rams. Then we also went back to back on tight end with Honey Badger there, with Okonkwo, Chig from now Washington, Stephon Diggs, who's looking for a home, 17.8, Ryan Flournoy at 17.9, the number 3 wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. And then that leads into you continuing the wide receiver run.
Yeah, so I went with I started to buy in the dip. This is my favorite time of years. Right when I started really missing football is when OTAs and everything kind of started developing right before camp, and you started getting all these reports of who's coming back with a little bit more muscle and who's coming back with a little bit more speed and who's coming back with a little bit more focus in the game plan and that kind of thing. You started hearing these names, and I don't want to say I buy the dip that I'm running out and dropping first round picks on these, but if I have an opportunity to build a startup draft, I'm grabbing AD Mitchell out of the New York Jets. Mark Cooper Jr. doesn't necessarily give me too much threats in regards to the wide receiver 2 position at this time. I do think that there is going to be some mouths to feed that is ahead of AD Mitchell, such as Kenyon Sadiq. Garrett Wilson is an obvious answer. Mason Taylor, I think, is going to be more utilized in the tight end role, and Sadiq kind of more in a slot role. So I do think Mason Taylor does stand some relevance still in the passing game. Brees Hall. So, I mean, there's some mouths ahead of Donovan Mitchell, but in my opinion, we're coming out of what the different things of Just Camp. He's clicking well with Geno Smith and company, and he's making a lot of deep passes, and he's having a lot of separated catches. So we'll see exactly what he can do with a little bit more time under his belt in the New York Jets format. After me at 17-11 is Gunnar Helm, tight end out of Tennessee. Great pick, in my opinion. I think he's going to blossom this year. And then pick to close out the 17th round is J.J. McCarthy, quarterback out of Minnesota. Beginning our 18th round is Kayshon Boutte out of New England. Pick 18-2, Pat Bryant, Denver. 18-3 that goes to me is Skylar Bell. Now, I was able to get a hold of at least one stock of Skylar Bell in one of my rookie drafts I've already had, and I am elated. And there's more emerging coming out of camp that he is going to be a part of the first team offense. And to have first team offense possibilities and where we at now, the 18th round, and Mickey and I's agreement, one of the best, if not the best athletes and quarterbacks in the league, and Josh Allen. I'm taking that as much as I possibly can. So I grabbed Skylar Bell as quickly as I possibly could at 18-3 and didn't look back.
Yeah, so when he didn't get picked in the 17th round, I was like, is he really going to fall to me? Because that's who I was debating on between him and Ted Hurst. And it took for you to finally
That's a good debate.
take him.
That's a very good debate.
And I was like, oh, man, I was hoping to get both of them. And I figured Hurst would be first, not trying to make that rhyme at all. I figured Hurst would have been the first one taken. If I didn't take him, so I took the chance on getting Skylar Bell back, and not that you kind of sniped him from me because we're so far away from each other, but I was then having to think again about, okay, what do I need to do here?
I appreciate the love. Yeah, Skylar Bell, I think he's definitely going to do something here in Buffalo early on. So I was happy to get the stocks in him. Right behind me at 18.4 is quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for odd of one, team number 9. He grabs Shador Sanders out of Cleveland. So the recap now again. He has Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Malik Willis, and Shador Sanders. So he definitely has room to grow on his quarterback development, and he definitely has room to branch it out and trade what he needs to trade. Maybe one of my rookies pops off and he wants to have an opportunity to do that. We can make a trade for a Shador Sanders or a Malik Willis, some youthful type aspect at the end of wanting to compete, something on those lines. Because again, I'm still quarterbackless with only 2 under my belt. So again, looking at somebody with 5, he's already looking at least more superior to me in regards to the quarterback realm. Following Sanders at 18.5 is Njoku. 18.6, Brian Robinson, running back out of Atlanta, not to be confused with Bijan in the first round. Theo Johnson, tight end, who is with the New York Giants still at 18.7. 18.8, Drew Aller, Pittsburgh Steelers. And it follows right to you at 18.9. I love this pick by you.
Yeah, so I was scrambling because, again, I was going to take a quarterback, and that didn't happen because Drew Allen went the pick before me. So take Dell in the 18th round. He didn't play last year. I feel like people forget what he is capable of. Yeah, he's tiny. He's not a big wide receiver whatsoever, so he could be injury prone like he has been. But when he's on the field, he's dynamic, electric, and CJ Stroud loves him. If you see the tapes, like getting him in the 18th round, it is literally just a high upside chance, hoping that he takes over the slot position that Christian Kirk has left. We'll see what happens because there is that Iowa State tandem there as well. So a lot of wide receivers to feed, but this is the one that I wanted to take. In the full wide receiver room now in Cleveland, Jerry Jeudy gets taken at 18-10. It sounds like an oxymoron. Full wide receiver room in Cleveland. Darnell Mooney, 18-11 for New York Giants. And K-Dot rounds out the 18th round. Going to the 19th round, penultimate round here. We circle back with Trey Tucker. 19-2 is Torrey Horton for the Seattle Seahawks, probably the number 3 right now on that team. Then we have Jake Tonjes, number 2 tight end out of San Francisco, in case and when Kittle gets hurt, it seems like. And back to me with Emmanuel Wilson, who will be the backup for a rookie until Charbonnet gets healthy. So I figured, why not take a shot? I haven't had a running back in like 5 rounds, so might as well take one and not hope that Jadarian Price gets hurt, but everyone's saying Jadarian Price is great. We've only seen him less than 50% of the time for Notre Dame, so let's see how good he really is. And Emmanuel Wilson played really well when he had the opportunity when Josh Jacobs was out. So I was pretty excited about getting him in the penultimate second to last round in this mock draft.
Now, if I may, for Emmanuel Wilson, I think he's undervalued, in my opinion. I mean, because everyone keeps talking, like you mentioned, everyone keeps talking about Price. Name one rookie running back that you remember that came in when it was a three down bell cow out of the gate week 1. I can't think of a single one.
Who was a backup in college?
Right. Nevertheless, yes. Like the hype on Price is there, and the skill set's there. I mean, I got 1 share of Price in 3 rookie drafts that I've done so far. I was able to grab 1 share, but he's not going to be the bell cow coming out of there week 1, and Charbonnet is not going to be available week 1. As much as they are trying to hype it up, I don't see him being available week 1. I think it's rushing it for no reason whatsoever. Emmanuel Wilson's very undervalued. I think he is at least 50% out the gate, if not a little bit more, to let the rookie get himself adapted. So this is a great running back pickup by you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. We're on the same page, thinking Wilson might be playing a little bit more than most people think. Next up, we had 19.5 is Jalen Noel, one of those wide receivers I was talking about from Iowa State for the Houston Texans. Then Jacoby Lane for Baltimore, wide receiver there. Ollie Gordon, running back we both like for Miami. And Max Clare, tight end, one of the 500 tight ends, like I said before. For the LA Rams, 19.8, 19.9 is Jaden Blue, who I guess is the pseudo backup for the Dallas Cowboys because they don't have another one. And then that leads into you taking one of my favorite players and possible breakouts this year.
Yeah, I thank you for this draft pick as well because I wasn't necessarily buying the dip right away. He didn't have necessarily a statistical shocker.
Oh, he was terrible. Don't sugarcoat it. He was absolutely terrible, Jack Bash. Absolutely terrible.
Thank you. Yes, but he's underwhelming as best as production was as a rookie. Like he should have another chance to impress here. He has himself he's already making noise under the new offensive coordinator, and there's rumblings that there is a quote JSN end quote type role that is to be developed in this offense for Clint Kubiak. So we'll see exactly where Bash ranks, but I'm willing to take a stab at him at pick 19. All in. I'll take a shot. After me at pick 1911 is Kyle Williams, rookie wide receiver for New England. And closing out the 19th round is Michael Mayer, tight end, backup tight end for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Before you move on, Michael Mayer being drafted this late is such a great stash opportunity, especially when you have 2, maybe even 3 tight ends ahead of him, because there's no way the Raiders are going to re-sign this guy who is probably one of the top 25 actual tight ends in the NFL, if not higher. So more than likely, this isn't a lot. Isaiah, likely. This is an Isaiah likely. Yeah, I caught that late. Sorry. Maneuver here, even though Michael Mayer is the older player, and it's a little bit different, but his talent level, you cannot deny. It wasn't the fact that Michael Mayer wasn't good that they took Brock Bowers. It was the fact that Brock Bowers fell to 15 or 16 in an NFL draft that they took Brock Bowers. So I'm really excited for getting a Michael Mayer. Even if it wasn't my team, whoever gets him, I'm looking to grab him on the year that he's about to become a free agent because he's going to be a player to watch.
Great insight on Mayer. Didn't know that, so thank you for that. So that's going to actually wrap us around to our 20th and final round for this particular draft. We did a 20-round draft. So behind Michael Mayer is Sean Tucker. So 2 very good draft picks, in my opinion, for the 19th and 20th rounds here for the last 2 picked by your wife. I think these are 2 very good picks deep into a very productive and lucrative draft here. So I think these are 2 great grabs. 20.2 is quarterback Jalen Monroe out of Seattle. And then this came to me, and I panic picked. I went with Keanu Coleman out of Buffalo.
You can blame me for this one, too.
Yeah, the reason why I say I panic pick is because I've already grabbed Skylar Bell. So I didn't want to grab Coleman so soon after Skylar Bell because I believe Skylar Bell ends up taking some of Coleman's snaps. But Coleman is undervalued as well, in my opinion. I think he's had himself a very, very strong offseason for the Bills. That wide receiver room is kind of wide open now behind DJ Moore. And DJ Moore's not necessarily a wide receiver one. Age has caught up to DJ Moore. He's going to have himself one heck of a quarterback again in Josh Allen, passing him the ball now, the best quarterback he's going to have in his career passing the ball. But we still got to see exactly what he's able to do in regards to skill set and in that offense and everything in between. Behind DJ Moore and Shakir, Kincaid's not 100% healthy all the time, and he's not necessarily stealing all the ball volume as like one would like to say a Coulson Loveland or a Tyler Warren's doing. So Coleman is a great grab here, in my opinion. Nice deep pick here for me at pick 20.3, especially needing a little bit more wide receiver help. And this will help give me some time for Skylar Bell to develop into the wide receiver that I think he's going to be.
Well, I think you made a really nice pick here because I don't think Khalil Shakir is the number 2. I think he's the slot guy, probably the number 3 wide receiver, and one of these two become the number 2. I'm just not sure which one. So you hedged your bets, and we're like, okay. In my eyes, this is my team, I'm like, okay, Skylar Bell is the young guy who is unproven but has all the upside there is. Keon Coleman is the guy who they would have picked in the first round, traded out, still got him in the second round, and are treating him like a first round. Everyone was treating him like a first round pick basically in his rookie draft, and he came out flat. But he has all the potential in the world, right? So one of these two, I believe, is going to be the number 2 wide receiver for this team, getting passes from, again, in our opinion, the best quarterback in football, or at least in my opinion. So I love what you did here, especially late. One of these two guys are going to matter. You're just not sure which one.
Well put. Yeah, great way to put a Band-Aid over it and put a bow on it actually as well. I'm not to say I'm downplaying Coleman. I just, again, in a situation here, one of them is going to be relevant and one of them is not going to be so relevant. So, hey, but again, when you're dealing with the 18th, 19th, and 20th picks, you're going to have this situation in that type of percentage anyway. So, roll tide, baby. 20.4 after me is Malik Washington, who, in my opinion, is being a little overshadowed there in Miami. A lot of people are talking about the hype of the rookies that have been drafted, but Malik Washington's been in that system. I know, again, new coaching system, new system in general, but he's been down in Miami for now. This will be his 3rd year. We'll see exactly what he can do down there. So I like that grab. 20.5, Jordan James out of San Francisco. 20.6, rookie running back Adam Randall, who's been compared to the next running back style behind Derrick Henry. Same type of bowling ball type mentality. So we'll see what he can do with Baltimore behind Derrick Henry. 20.7, Elijah Aurora, tight end out of Seattle. 20.8, Devin Neal, running back for New Orleans. And if it brings it up to you, pick 20.9.
All right, so I've been saying how many times I got sniped at quarterback, right? This was basically me saying I have to have a third quarterback. And Quinn Ewers is as good as the rest because I have no faith in Malik Willis. I don't think he finishes the year. So Quinn Ewers might have a chance to show what he's got by the end of the year. If he does, I can trade him for somebody else, hopefully, or a pick next year in this quarterback lucrative draft. But you have to have 3 quarterbacks in Dynasty Superflex, and I only had 2. So Quinn Ewers was my 3rd. Hopefully he gets some starts. Moving on, Ray Davis at 2010, penultimate pick in Devon Vele, wide receiver from New Orleans, who has fallen down the depth chart very quickly because of the rookies that they grabbed. And then the last pick, the what do they call him? The
Mr. Irrelevant.
There it is, Mr. Irrelevant. I love it because he's from Penn State. Mike Gesicki, tight end out of Cincinnati, or for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I don't believe he's even going to, or he may not even possibly be the starting tight end for that team, in my opinion. But
week one, he's the starting tight end.
Right.
By week 4, Eric Gold might be knocking on the door.
Exactly. We're on the same page. I was very excited for Eric Gall last year, thinking that he was going to be able to play, and he was not. So I'm pretty excited to see what hopefully he would be able to do with that insane offense that they have building over there. But the last pick was Mike Gesicki. We're not going to go over the whole roster of teams or anything like that, but on a quick run, who do you think has the best win now team, I guess? I know I put you on the spot, sorry.
Yeah, you did kind of put me on the spot here. No, but I think the teams just started off strong. I think the teams that had a decent top 4 and were still in consideration for a decent top 8. and still has strong types of depth and built around that as well, are ones that, in my opinion, are going to do well. The ones that come to mind are your Team 7 Honey Badgers. It started off with Drake May, Justin Jefferson, and Miko Buka. He has both Kenyon Sadiq and Fannin in the tight end premium, as well as TJ Hawkinson and Chig. We kind of glanced over him because it's for timing, but I think Chig's going to have one hell of a year this year. I think him and Jaden Daniels are already hitting it off quite well. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. So I like what Honey Badger's team was able to do in regards to tight end depth and overall skill set from the names I've already mentioned, not including Chase Brown, Travis Hunter, Terry McLaurin. So I think that team is set up pretty nicely.
So one of the teams that I think actually has a really good, and I said this already on the pod, but I'll say it again: 5 possible starting quarterbacks. You need 3. You don't need 5. So he has 2 potential trades if all 5 start. Now we don't know if that's going to be the case with Shedeur Sanders, but we do know about the other 4. We believe are going to be the starters for their teams in Burrow, Prescott, Murray, and Wilson. And it's 50-50 on Shedeur at this point, I feel like. It's either him or Watson, it looks like. So he has a lot of potential trade options if he is going to be able to be good with CeeDee Lamb and Quinshon Judkins, Josh Jacobs for 1 year. We'll see in the future if Chuba Hubbard becomes or stays as the number 1. That helps as well. Jalen Naylor in round 14, I think, is insane because he's the number 1 in the Raiders, and the Raiders don't have a number 2 wide receiver. Outside of Brock Bowers, he's going to be the focal point receiving wise. So there's a lot of potential with this team. And then Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt also. Who knows what's going to go on in that backfield with Washington, but I have a feeling it's going to be Bill first and then everybody else trying to figure it out. So a lot of good potential for this year, and also a lot of young players for the future as well, and a lot of potential to trade into draft picks, get some more draft picks along the way, especially in 27. So I love, I never say this about Tino, but I absolutely loved his draft in this draft. So if he listens, you're welcome, Tino. If you don't listen, probably a good thing because I passed you a little bit too. But yeah, for sure, I think his draft was the best. Outside of the computer teams because, they started out pretty good, but forgot quarterback on basically both teams.
Right.
So I think we both agree that they're probably the worst 2. Who is either needing help or very productive struggle.
Not to beat a dead horse here, but I'm going to go with myself here. I think I built my team with the sole purpose of not competing. I built my team with competing for the future. I got myself a lot of toss-ups. I got myself a lot of, I don't want to say hopium, but I do have myself a lot of investment in this draft capital. And this isn't necessarily the best draft capital to be invested in. I have a lot of youth that I built around. And like we've mentioned before, with these, if this was a real football team, David Montgomery is my only veteran. like he's the only locker room leader here. So I got a lot of unproven talent and a lot of ones who are I'm hoping on a 2nd and 3rd year explosion. But in the same sense, I'm willing to be patient and see exactly how these guys develop and gel into their respective teams and respective skill sets.
However, you say that you have the most to do, and you do, but you did this on purpose. And also a reason, something I'm going to bring up is if you're doing a starter draft in 2026, it is not the worst idea. And trust me, this is not something that I haven't heard before, but it is not the worst idea to be the worst team in 2026 to get 2027 first-round pick, 101. Because we may have hyped up some other people in the past, but Jeremiah Smith from being a freshman has looked like the part, and he's never really slowed down. We talked about Cornell Tate, how good he was. Jeremiah Smith was better last year. We talked about how good Marvin Harrison Jr. was at Ohio State. They said Jeremiah Smith's freshman year was better than Marvin Harrison already. Like the guy who's coming in 101, and we'll talk about this next week as well. For 2027, look ahead, but this is something you want to think about. There's a lot of quarterbacks coming out. There was a lot of quarterbacks who were supposed to come out this year to make this class legitimate that decided to not come out this year and have to come out next year. So that's why this quarterback class looks so bad outside of really Mendoza, to be blunt about it, because three players who were supposed to be really good ended up not performing as well as we thought. And then the rest of them stayed. Dante Moore, Lenore Sellers, the kid from Arizona State, who I'm forgetting his name right now, that is now going to be in LSU, Mettenberger. There are a ton of quarterbacks here as well. So shorten this up, try to say, with the way that you built your team, for the future, it's not a bad thing to be one of the worst teams and have those top four picks. Cam Coleman or Arch Manning as well for next year. So just a good idea. If everyone else is either going for win now or win next year, and you're okay waiting a couple years because of the class that's coming, do it. That's what I would say. Because I love the way that you built, and then you think about who else you can add to this team, and oh geez, man, it could be scary, especially trading away some of the older pieces and things like that. So I actually like your build, but for this year, you're right. It's probably one of the lesser, just because there's a lot of hopium, like you said. But it is a great strategy, especially 26 going being the starter draft and 27 with 27 and 28 classes coming. It's a very positive way to look at things. So I wanted to make sure we talked about that real quick. And I don't know if you had anything to say, but real quick before we go, since I was talking about 27 already, it's a great lead-in into what we're going to be talking about next week, which is, and I'll real quick look at the top names, top players that we're going to be paying attention to in the college football season in 2026 for the 2027 draft. I know it's insane. We just had the draft, 3 months ago, but
Yeah.
It's Dynasty. You're always looking
It's
ahead.
time. No, it's time, man. It's time.
And this class I've been excited about for 2 years, thinking that the 26 class was going to be better than it was, but so many players stayed in 26, so that 27 is going to be even bigger. Pretty excited about that. So it's going to be fun this year. After probably pick 10, I was a little worried. Next year, probably after pick 210, I might be worried. That's the difference. So we're going to talk about that next week. And definitely the crop of quarterbacks that there are out there as well. We're also going to do a little bit of KTC, keep trade cut, a game that we like to play, kind of figuring out who we think is going to have the bigger year, or who we think is going to have the bigger dynasty value. Either way you want to look at it there. And then we're also going to, during halftime, as I call it, our player profile, we're going to talk about tight end who could have been tight end 1 last year, but ended up getting hurt halfway through the season, Tucker Kraft, how he's going to come back, and what we think about his future there. So fun episode next week. I loved what we did this week. Was there anything else you wanted to say before we head out?
I think you put a bow on it very well here. But no, I think I enjoy these mock drafts immensely. I think they're a lot of fun, and they show a lot, and they give a lot of fantasy aspects in regards to what if this team actually would go live, and what if we were able to launch this league. But I enjoy the mock draft, and next week I'm looking forward to the player profile. I could actually have a brand new fresh trade to talk about next week with involving Tucker Kraft. So we'll be able to see exactly how that unfolds, and we'll be able to combine both Tucker Kraft talk and KTC along with a real trade. We'll be able to blend it all together.
I love how the world works so well for us, right? Just so easily, yeah. But no, I believe you're going to get it done, and it'll be a good trade here to talk about on the pod. we'll see you next week here on Dynasty from the Mountaintops. For Jeremy, I'm Mickey. Again, this has been Dynasty from the Mountaintops. Check us out on YouTube, Apple, Podbean, our socials at dynastymttops, on Blue Sky and X. Also, email us dynastymttops@gmail.com for any comments, show ideas you got. Probably not going to need too many show ideas, to be honest with you, because we're getting into the football season very, very shortly. But what did you think about the podcast? What did you think about our mock draft? Did you like a team better than others? Things like that. So let us know. But again, for Jeremy, I'm Mickey. This has been Dynasty of the Mountaintops. We will see you next week.
37 days till preseason football.
Oh, let's go.